Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Living Novel. I usually have been starting this off with one of the reasons for the title, and I've mentioned that for the whole length of our humanity, never ever before has the percentage of humanity been writing. When you look back and who were the first people that were writing? Monks, the town scribe, but more and more people over the years have been writing, and now everybody is writing all day long. You're texting, you're emailing, and I even consider when people are posting on social media and they've got a picture, but they're writing something that's attached to the picture. So we're all writing all the time. Well, if you think about that, suddenly you have this tsunami of humanity writing its story, telling everybody who they are, what they are, who, what, when, where, why, and how of our lives every day, all day long. That's a pretty interesting phenomena. And if you take a look at it, you realize that might have some interesting implications. And in future, we might look back and go, wow, look at when humanity started writing its novel, writing about itself in the novel about its experience. So we are the living novel. And I'm going to be talking to you a lot about AI. There's a lot of people have such questions and doubts about AI. I got a great take on AI for you. You're going to love, and the way things are going. But we are in a world that is changing so rapidly, and the rate of change is happening so rapidly that 5 years from now, you don't know what we're going to be like in 5 years. We're going to be so radically different. It's really hard with the way things are changing now. Even AI that people are just starting to hear about, already obsolete. Now we have quantum AI, and you have guys like David Deutsch, who's now got the Deutsch algorithm, and you look at what he's doing, and when you listen to his thought processes of how he's analyzing and looking at the structure of our being, the structure of the existence itself, you realize, wow, we are now understanding things in a whole new way. So whatever you thought was happening before, get ready to suspend those beliefs, because there's a whole new opportunity to invent ourselves anew and recognize ourselves as a whole new species. So the living novel, we address that stuff, and those are concepts and intellectual thought processes. But then at the same time, there's a down home, right here in your own backyard, people that you know and run into, and that you go to the store and you buy fish from. And then you find out that those people that you buy fish from have unbelievable, talking about the story of humanity. We've got a guest today, uh, Clint Bennett. Clint Bennett from Montauk. His family goes back 14 generations or more. We're gonna go to him in a minute, but I'm so honored to have him on the show. And then we've got Bobby Murray. Bobby's great. I'm loving this guy. Came down from Maine, met him a couple of times. Last night we were hanging out at Murph's together. It was the opening night of Murph's over in Sag Harbor. But just a really wonderful guy, and he's going to be doing a lot of the stories for us on some of the social media that I work on, so you'll see him more and more. So he's here for a short time. But I'm so glad to have these guests. So Clint,
Thank you,
I'm
Greg.
so glad you could make it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it, you know.
And Bobby, it's good to see you again. That was fun last night.
Great to see you.
Yeah, so that was the first time you were at Murph's.
First time.
Yeah.
Got the lowdown.
So people, local people who know Murph's is historic. I mean, you tell at Hamptons, you can tell the age of a building by how wide the planks are. When they cut down the lumber. This thing was built in the back to the beginning of your ancestry.
It's one of those little places, one of those little like hidden gems,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and when people were shorter, so the ceilings at Murph's, the ceilings are shorter because the people were shorter then, but we're larger now. So you and I were at Murph's last night. It was fun. It was a great night, and all these people were showing up. And then you were in Sag Harbor at the theater at the Green Room.
Mhm.
Tell everybody what you were doing at the Green Room in that band.
Yeah. I've got a couple friends I made out here, Dean and Lena and Parker, and they've got a band that plays all over the place. And the Green Room is an awesome spot. They were doing a St. Patrick's Day event, and they had a stew making competition, I think, as well. And the people over at Kid Squid won the stew making competition. That was exciting to watch. So Yeah, they were featuring Power Whiskey. It was an Irish whiskey brand there, and it was a cool little get together.
Power whiskey?
Yeah, I think that's what it was called, Power Irish Whiskey or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we need those adjectives. Everything has to be more amplified to be interesting to us now. Ultra whiskey. You have power whiskey, then you have ultra whiskeys that come in. Uber whiskey will be following that. So did you taste it? Is it good?
I actually didn't taste it. I was drinking
No.
Guinness because of St. Patrick's Day, so
Yeah.
you have to, you know. I probably should have tried it, but no, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm not much of a drinker that way. So some of the stuff that we're going to be doing together tonight, Bobby and I are going to be at Talk in Montauk every Monday night at Talk. They have this great jam with all these musicians that come, and Joe puts this together, and Bobby has sang at this thing. First time I met him, he was singing. Did a great job singing Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder, and what else were you singing?
I think it's just been Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles so far, and that's probably what I'll be doing tonight as well.
Yeah.
So more Stevie. I know they love playing the Stevie.
So tell everybody, since I know we only have you for a short time, tell everybody a little bit more about you. You have an interest in music and writing about music and doing stories about music, and tell us a little bit about that.
Totally. Well, before Bowdoin, I studied at Berklee College of Music and got my degree in music production. And so I've always been a musician. I played piano my whole life, guitar since high school, and just love it. I can't stop. Like every day I'm doing a little bit of something and perform now, guitar and singing. And so yeah, I'm just working on creating new music, and I've always loved music, love writing about music. I worked in college, I was working with our culture magazine and writing about music all the time and things like that. So, yeah, trying to stay as close to music as I can.
I have this feeling about music that music is, to me, it's magic. It's a form of magic that has developed over time. When you think about who invented the piano, when did it start? How long did it take to create the piano? Or you mentioned playing the guitar, any of the musical instruments, and then playing it and then developing what music is. It's been developing over, centuries. But when I listen to people playing music and creating music, it's like magic to me. It's like, look at what these humans do. Look at what these wonderful mortals, they take these sounds and they create these instruments that make these sounds, and they put those sounds together, and suddenly your whole experience changes because of this magic of sound that's created by these magicians. And they are magicians to me. They've got tools. It's not like a magic wand, but it's a guitar, it's a piano, it's a saxophone. Like Jed, a friend of mine, Jed, plays in this jam. Jed and I go way back to J.S. Van Dam in New York when he was bartending and running a restaurant there. Also, he shows up, but he's playing the saxophone. But I listen to everybody playing music, and I'm like, this is really. I just think it's not recognized for the phenomena that it really is. There's lots of phenomena that we just take for granted. People just take music for granted. There's that phenomena that so many of us experienced for so long. There were times, just about everybody had it, in the older rotary phones and push button phones, where you would go to call somebody, and you'd pick up the phone and you go to dial it, and before it even rang, the person's on the phone. And you'd go, "Oh, hello," and you'd, "Oh my God, you're on the phone already." And it's, yeah, I just picked up. And that's the mathematical odds of that happening, of you picking up the phone and calling somebody who's already on the line before it rang there. So the odds of being that person, and the even greater odds against it happening that millisecond before the phone rang, and they're on the phone, we would just take that for granted. Say, "Oh, hi, how are you? Oh my God, I believe it's you." Well, someone was just calling you, and you just go right on to doing whatever you're going to talk about. But that in itself is a very interesting phenomena. Again, mathematical odds of that happening, but all kinds of people had it happen and never even thought about it. Just thought, "Oh, what an interesting occurrence." So that kind of thing. And there's more here than meets the eye. But music, there's just something other thing happening, and we're all recognizing, the new talk about quantum physics and everything, but we're all recognizing that we all are an energy, a vibration. Now it's called we're all talking about we're all vibrations, but we are this electrical energy that is connected to each other in one way or another. And even in quantum physics, something that's Einstein called it spooky energy, where we started recognizing that we could do something over here and miles away, something's affected with no connection to it or visible or understandable connection. So we're recognizing there's all kinds of other things in play. Intuition, when we have, and that's the thing I'm going to talk about with AI. Will AI have intuition? Where everybody's talking about, oh, AI might become smarter and make us obsolete. I'm going to give you the reasons why it can't. But intuition, some of those things that we sense when someone is coming into the room and you don't see them, but all of a sudden when you turn and say, oh, and you can feel them. So we have other senses going on that we don't give enough recognition to. Okay, big long circle back to, and then there are the musicians. so and the people who can sing. And unfortunately, I'm tortured with knowing the lyrics to every song ever written, but can't sing a note. But you did a great job singing. So and so you played guitar.
I do, yeah, acoustic guitar mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right, yeah, it is incredible how it connects to you and connects people. And like Joe, for example, he played with Stevie Wonder. And like to think about the amount of years that passed in between him playing with Stevie Wonder and me listening to Stevie Wonder for the first time, and the fact that the same song can affect us in a similar way, it's really, like, for example, I had a poetry professor who I spoke, and he grew up in the south side of Chicago and used to play My Cherie Amour on repeat on his record player so often that his mom came up and almost broke his door and it's like, I guess, smashed his record player. But it's funny, it's the same thing. When I was 14, 15 years old, I would have that on repeat till it drove my parents crazy. It's just crazy to think about. I grew up in rural Maine. He grew up in south side of Chicago. We're from very different place, but the sound of someone's voice and the frequency, the soul that you can feel in Stevie Wonder, whoever it is, whoever that musician is for you, it's interesting how that transcends.
So I thought that was kind of more something that happened back in the 50s and 60s and maybe 70s, where a song came out and you just played it endlessly again and again and again and again and again. So everybody's still doing that, I guess.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't speak on everyone, but
I would have to say, like, the music is definitely changing, constantly developing to, bigger things, different things.
You
are
play any
happening with
instruments?
it. I don't, no.
No.
I don't. I love to listen to music, though. It's one of my things that I do all day long out on the boat. So,
yeah.
if I didn't have music, who knows, I would probably be able to do the job. But
What do you listen to?
I listen to country, some rock.
Yeah, so.
I try to mix it up as much as I can, But it's definitely a changing thing that I see, or that I hear on the radio, different stations and stuff. Is the music is definitely evolving into bigger, different things. People are doing different things with different notes. It's all still happening, right in front of our eyes. So
I grew up with parents that loved going to Broadway musicals. So they'd come back and the soundtracks, and they would just play them endlessly. Oklahoma and Ethel Merman, Annie Get Your Gun, and we would just hear this, so I know all these lyrics from there. But now I love it, and I have those lyrics, and then I have other lyrics that are all in my head, and afterwards you start accumulating all these lyrics, but hearing different kinds of music. But that's something that happens where I remember my parents, the music that we were playing, said, "Oh, that's not music," and they're coming from Cole Porter, which is gorgeous, but we're playing stuff. "Oh, that's terrible music," and now some of the things that I'm listening to, rap, I can deal with a couple of rap songs, but but sometimes Nicki Minaj who's putting that stuff out so fast. Okay, I'm listening, but just not connecting to it. But I'm thinking, I don't want to sound like that next generation of like, oh, really? That's not music anymore, but it is. So you kind of get used to new trends and new things coming along. Is there any particular style of music that you gravitate to more than another?
Well, I guess it depends on if I'm in the gym or if I'm at home hanging out or if I'm trying to write or at a Montauk jam session. Because I'll definitely listen to rap music that you'd probably hate
Yeah.
all the time. Gibberish to you guys, I guess, but they call it mumble rap a lot of the time, though. Which I actually love, and I go to concerts and have a blast there. But yeah, I mean, since I've lived in Nashville for a summer, and since then I just can't stop listening to country.
Oh, Nashville's.
I love
That's-
it.
that's,
I absolutely love it. And when I went to Nashville, I knew 3 country songs: "A Boy Named Sue" by Johnny Cash, "Tennessee Whiskey" by Chris
Yeah.
Stapleton, and I can't even remember the third. But since then, it's like I love it. Like I'm all on top of it. Even the music that I'm writing now has this like country thing going on, and
Yeah.
before it was all R&B, hip hop, pop. Like, so it's definitely changed.
The thing about the different music you listen to at different times. Yeah, I got my car music.
Yeah.
You know, I'm listening to Prince, Sexy MF, you know, and I'm singing that, and Katy Perry and
Katy Perry.
Katie Jepsen. I mean, just what's her name? I just forgot her name. She does that great song, "Call Me Maybe." Oh, I just forgot. Carly
Carly Jepsen.
Jepsen, yeah. So, and actually, I got some of those lyrics down pretty well. But you know,
Katy Perry and Carly Jepsen.
yeah. So here I'm a guy, and I'm singing Katy Perry in the car, you know. But anyway, so the different music for different places. We all kind of have that a little bit. So and you're on your boat. You have so you're listening to music, but while we're talking about people connecting to music and magic happening, you've been living in a world where you're connected to the earth in a way that all of us wish we could. And your whole family, you go back so many generations.
Yep, 14.
So tell everybody a little bit about the Bennett family. This is extraordinary, and I love that we're finding these people that like Clint and how many Cliff and how many generations he goes back, right back to before they started recording people. But and it's back to the Indian days and Cherokees. So if you don't mind, tell everybody a little bit about that history that you have.
Yep, well, I'm a 14th generation Bayman / offshore commercial fisherman. My family is from Springs and Amagansett. My mom's side is the fishermen. My dad's side is Bonnickers, they call us, and native to the land. We've been clamming, fishing, you know, doing it my whole life, you know, since I was about 4 years old when I started my career and realized, you know, okay, I wanted to be with my dad and follow my dad around and learn the ways of, you know, how to work on and provide for myself. And I listened to everybody and paid attention and really focused on learning the ways of how they were taught how to provide.
Yeah.
And I took up on it, and here we are today, you know, 14 generations. You know,
and you mentioned the first kind of recorded date of 1600 that you kind of traced yourself back to. Was it your aunt or your mom that did some of that?
It was my dad's side of the family that the family dates back to the original settlers here, and which was like the Lionel Gardner days, Lionel Gardner and all the slaves, and that was pretty much it. You know, who was here? It was Lionel and the Indians, and we actually, you know, she one of the aunts on my dad's side, 9 years it took her. She went to the government and did United States Census work, and you know, really pinpointed where, how things happened, and yeah, it took her 9 years, and she got it back to like the 1400s. Where we
Wow,
actually
1400s.
where I believe, don't quote me on that, but that's where we first had records of us.
Wow.
And it goes back to when they were just starting to document everybody that was here.
Wow, I've got a couple of generations, but nothing like that.
Yeah,
we go
it
back,
goes
but
back.
that's remarkable. But also what does that feel like, knowing that you've got these roots that go all the way that far back, where there's even Cherokee in your heritage?
Yeah, it's a really special thing to know that heritage, you know,
Yeah.
and to have people still talking about it. That's what's really important is being known, and there is still a few of us left here that still do this. And we are. Everybody says you're a dying breed. We really are. We're seeing less and less of the Bonnickers and the original settlers here. Fishermen are always going to be around. We always got to be able to go out and do that. But as far as like a Bonnicker or somebody who works on the water, does clamming and it all, we're not seeing that as much as we used to.
Do you feel any pressure to keep that going?
Of course, it's
Yeah.
very important to keep it going. I take pride in every day, going out on the water and to be able to harvest, clams and oysters and fish and be able to, bring it and provide the public and not only just the public, but the world, like it doesn't just stay here. It goes all around the world. So it goes from here to Fulton Fish Market, from Fulton, it goes whoever needs fish,
Yeah.
and that's what keeps me going and doing it every day. The quotas get harder, the government gets tightens up on everybody, and it's not just the commercial side of it, it's also the recreational side. It just gets harder and harder every year, but we still strive every single day to get out there and do it.
I got so many questions for you.
Mhm.
But Jimmy Grimes, who we love,
Mhm.
Jimmy, oh my God, this guy's such a historian. He knows, like, he can tell you. I started asking him about some of the heritage. We're doing a documentary on Montauk and asked him about some of the heritage. And he's like, well, these group of people came down from Nova Scotia and these people came up from here. I was like, oh my God, this guy knows where the migrations happen. But you mentioned Springs. It seems like Springs was one of the first big settlements, even before Montauk.
Yeah.
People started Springs and they came around to Montauk from Springs. I
Yeah.
wonder why Springs, happened there first.
I think a lot of the reason why they settled there was because of the waters are so pristine, and there's so many different bodies of waters there. It's easier to get to them. I mean, we are only 3 miles from water to water,
Yeah.
but for them, that's walking.
I think I might embarrass myself now. So, so why is it called Springs? Is it because of water, springs of water there?
That's one of those things where Hugh King would be able to explain to you
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Yeah.
He was one of my people that I looked to my whole entire life. I've known him my whole entire life, and
Yeah.
what he does for the community and his knowledge of the community, he is right there with that one.
Yeah.
He'll tell you exactly how it was named, why it was named that.
Yeah.
I really can't tell you why it was named Springs. I'm sure it was, probably because the aquifers, or it's just a low spot maybe.
It would make sense.
And,
Springs
it would.
of water,
Yeah.
and that's where they'd settle. The things that we realize the origins of them. I had a motorcycle for years before I had a car,
Mhm.
and I'd wear gloves on my motorcycle. And then finally I got this white Mustang convertible, 64 and a half, made on the 8th day of production in the Danbury, Connecticut plant. It was great. So I'm driving my car, but I'm not going to drive in the gloves. So I went to take my gloves and said, where do you put them? Glove compartment. Well, it was never called a map compartment. I don't know anybody put their gloves in the glove compartment, but suddenly I was like, oh, that's why they call it glove compartment. Why they call it pancakes? Why they call it cold cream? Because it's cold, you idiot. But things that you just take for granted, you're just calling it something, not realizing why do they call it there. But call it that. So Springs would make sense that maybe the waters kept it.
Yeah.
But that's great. So most of your ancestors came down from the north there, or did they come up from?
My family book is, a green family book, which is Green and Bennett's, and in the book it has dates back to the northern Western Virginia, to a coal mine that was down there, and working in a coal mine, and something happened there, we somehow, connected with the Cherokee tribe in between there and here, and we found here, the Trail of Tears has a big part of my family heritage here
Really?
as well. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
We were all involved with that,
Tragic.
and
Part
the
of our
whole-
history.
yeah, it
Yeah.
really was. Yep. A lot of natives were decimated, and
You think of Andrew Jackson on the Bills and all the great things he did, and how he handled the banking in America and put those guys in line, and the great stuff he did for our country. And then you look at the Trail of Tears and what he did with the Indians. So, oh my God! So now all the good that he did, we have to take him off the bill because he did something really bad. I have some problems with some things like that, but that was a horrible, horrible episode in our country's history, and for humanity to have done to another section of humanity. Period. But Andrew Jackson and the Trail of Tears. But so you go back to that.
yeah,
So,
yep, in textbooks, and I never, guys, growing up in being in school and stuff, you never really thought about stuff like that, and then here we are, I'm 38 now, and I'm looking back to this stuff, and it's like, wait a minute, it was all right there in front of me, and it didn't even click. I'm, in that book, in that textbook, and that's another reason why I do it, It's heritage, it's keeping it alive.
is there a European heritage beforehand? Like most of us?
Yes,
Yeah.
there is. Where that
You're not like the Mayflower. Did you come up? I know the Havermeyers came over the Mayflowers. I know it's from Southampton. The Pages,
Yep.
Johns. I know a couple of, actually, some of the descendants of people that came from the Mayflower.
yeah.
But
I'm sure there is some ties there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. On my mom's side, and I'm sure there's ties on my dad's side too.
yeah,
I only know the native part of it because it was that was the part that I was really wondering about. Who was here first. That's what I said to my dad when I was growing up. I said, that was my one question to him was, where did we really come from, Dad? And he couldn't really answer me.
yeah.
And it got me for a lot of years. And we I'm very grateful that my aunt did the family book, and
Yeah.
did her research. It took her 9 years
Mhm.
to figure out stuff for us and to be able to provide us with answers and, know who we are, and like I say today, you have your people that like to come out here, then you have your locals, and you have your native people. There's four different types of cultures.
You
here,
actually qualify as indigenous.
I
After 14
consider-
generations,
yeah.
we can say that you're indigenous.
I consider me and
Yeah.
the rest of my relatives all native to
Yeah.
this land.
Yeah, yeah. I've been out here since I was a kid, and my family over in Southampton, but me, I'm just a recent. As many times as I came to Montauk, but I never lived here until 5-6 years ago. But I'm still east end of Long Island.
Yeah.
But how much of a native? So your family in Maine, how long ago generations were you guys there? Did you come over in the Mayflower? Tell the truth. I know you did.
The Maine flower.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're first generation Maine. Both my parents went to college in Maine and stayed there, but they're
Yeah.
from Vermont and Ohio. So, no, we have our lineage is all European.
Yeah.
We have an interesting kind of Franz Ferdinand Jr. You ever heard of him? The one who was killed to start World War I?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's he was a big name starter World War One.
My friends make fun of me because I've pulled this out randomly with people, when they ask about my heritage. But
Yeah.
apparently we're related to his brother.
Yeah. He wore those really big hats that had feathers on them.
So yeah.
The
Something
one on
like
the
that.
one feather on the top, I think.
I'm
right?
sure they had a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess we're related to his brother, who was supposed to be the king
Yeah.
of Austria or something like
Yeah.
that. And so I went to Austria last year and went to all the museums and saw all the Ferdinands and was trying to pick out
Yeah.
to see if any of them kind of looked like me a little bit, but I couldn't really
Yeah.
discern much from there. But there's my fact.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're related to the Liechtensteins too, the small country between Austria and Switzerland.
Yeah.
So I went there as well and ran up to the castle and was like, "Let me in, someone."
Matt, we're going to have you on later. You're going to tell us about your heritage. We have another guest, Matt, that's coming next.
So-
Going to tell us about his heritage. So
anyways.
cool. And you guys, how many generations in Maine? 2? One. Ohio and
Ohio and Vermont.
and Vermont.
Just one generation in Maine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And Maine is still so pristine and so beautiful.
Beautiful up there, yeah, it is, it really is.
Yeah, kind of it's what the east end of Long Island was 40 years ago. It's still, it's still, because you have to go up there to get that experience. See, and then those lineages, so, and you mentioned Cherokee. So I thought that they were farther out west. I thought Cherokee was much farther out, but Cheyenne was out there. But so Cherokee, but they were North Virginia, and they came north. I got really friendly with, and out here we have the Shinnecock Indians, and I know some of them very, very well. And but they are Algonquinian, you know, they're from the Algonquins that came down from the north.
Yeah, there was
So-
many tribes out here that actually founded Long Island, you know, it wasn't just the Montaukets or the Springs, it was the Shinnecocks and a few other,
Massapequas,
a few other
Yeah.
tribes, you know,
there's
up
like
west.
5 along Long Island.
Yeah,
right?
there was a few different tribes here, and you know, they survived.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As much as they could, you know. Once again, you know that you know the whole stories and everything behind that with like Teddy Roosevelt and you know coming out to Montauk to quarantine, you know, and to bring his guys out here during that whole fever thing that was going on, you know, that.
Oh,
I
tell us
heard-
about that. Was
Yeah, that was one of the
With
big
this
things.
Rough Riders or something, but
Yeah, that was one of the big things that really killed off a lot of the natives out here was they back in that time, you know, they had the civil wars and stuff like that, and you had Teddy Roosevelt, and he had regiments, you know, of guys, thousands of guys, and they started getting sick, and they had to quarantine these guys somehow because they were dying and just dropping like flies. So they brought them out here to Montauk, where they put them up on a hill and they quarantined them there, and they wouldn't let anybody leave, anybody go until you were certifiably safe, you know, to be around people, and it killed a lot of the natives. The natives actually allowed them to come in to, you know, well, didn't allow it. I think they were more like pushed to the side, but it happened, and a lot of natives were killed off because of it. But yeah, they came out here, they quarantined out here on Second House, and
I hope it was, when you said up on the hill, I hope it wasn't the hill I'm living on, the Montauk Manor. And that's
Well,
how all those big
a
powwows.
lot of places in Montauk are very sacred, you know, even till today, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of natives are buried there,
Yeah.
and
And we've got that huge stone in that meeting place that all the
Mhm.
tribes would come out. There's a place right in front of the Montauk Manor, and it's this nice kind of park, and it's got this huge stone in the middle. But it was a ceremonial place where, like, once a year, all the tribes from Long Island came out and powwowed around that thing for a really long time. And you go over there, you kind of feel the vibe, and
Mhm.
like, wow, this must be
yeah,
incredible.
there's a lot of spirit here, Greg, you
Yeah.
know, on the East End, in all different ways.
Ghosts?
Who knows? I'm sure, you know.
You believe in ghosts?
Yeah.
Believe in ghosts?
Yeah, you know, I believe that, you know, we have people that look down on us, and there's spirits that are always gonna be around us and with us, so, you know.
Well, I absolutely believe in that, but I wouldn't have believed in ghosts per se until I actually saw one. And people say, "Oh, I saw a ghost," and I was like, "Yeah, you saw a ghost." Yeah, but I was out at the Ambassador Hotel out in LA, and I turned it into a film studio for Donald Trump, actually. And we were working with Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger on Marrying Man. And there's a big front lawn before you get to the main building, and there are these things called cabanas, but these houses around the side that you could rent separate places. And the Walter Winchell broadcast out of one of them. So I felt that was appropriate to put my offices in. So I'm all the way in the front of the property, working out of the Walter Winchell things. There at 6 o'clock in the morning, when we're working on the set. Everybody, it's a big long day. It's the end of the day. Everybody goes home. I go back to the office and keep working and preparing to put everything on my employees' desk so when they came in, they'd have something to work on. And then I go home. Last guy to go home. I'm sitting in my office. I'm telling my ghost story. I'm sitting in my office, and windows are closed, and it's late, and I'm writing, and suddenly this like chill came over me. It's like, whoa, that was like weird. And then I was like, wait a minute. There's like no window open. It's like, what was that? And it spooked me enough that I got up and I just like went to the door and opened it, and out in the courtyard, there it was. just kind of floating in the air, and it was a woman, long hair, and it really was the cliched, like the diaphanous gown that kind of disappears at the bottom and is swaying around. It was, I swear to God, it was. So, but there, I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and she's like up in the air, and then you have that moment, like a deja vu flash. It's like you don't want it to end, but you don't know what to do. It's like, okay, I'm looking at the ghost. What do I do? Asking for a date? You know, can I have your number? Who are you? What? You know, what do you say to a ghost? And I don't know how it ended. You know, did I look away for a second? Did I blink? But all of a sudden she was gone, and then I ran this front lawn. It's like a football field over to the security booth. I got to the security booth, and I'm like, I couldn't even talk. And they're like, oh, he saw, you know, Alexandra. And I was like, it's got a name. It's like a famous ghost. It wasn't even, it's like a famous ghost. So I actually saw a famous ghost. And I made that sound that, remember from the Little Rascals, there was that sound when someone saw a ghost, they went, oh, like that. I actually made that sound. Never made it before in my entire life. I made that sound before I ran all the way to the security booth. But yeah, it's a real ghost, and it's been there for a long time, and it paid a visit, and then, so now I am here to say I saw a ghost. So they exist, but maybe in lots of different forms. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of different forms. And then there was a story behind her. It was a love triangle. Someone got shot. She died. You know, something that kept her spirit there. But it was real. So you'll get your chance.
Yeah, I don't know.
You'll get to see
I'm from
a
Maine,
ghost.
so we don't have the sun for 9 months a year. It kind of looks like I see a ghost every morning in the mirror, but until I go to Florida for a week, and then
Yeah.
good, so.
No. So and tell me a little bit about your day. I mean, what is a day for the Bennetts like? Because you're out there fishing and on the water all day. You live the water life.
Yeah, yep. I don't come off the water. My day starts early in the morning. Sometimes it doesn't end until late at night. And it's just, you know, I wake up, you know, it could be a 3 o'clock in the morning day, or it could be a sunrise morning, you know. It all depends on what's going on, what I'm doing, if I'm hauling gear or fishing or clamming or oystering, you know, because you got to do different things at different times and tides but yeah, my whole day revolves around the water, you know, or at least something to do with the water.
There've been so many books about you know, great stories, you know, almost like perfect storm kind of stories. And I'm sorry that one writer that got his book, and we were talking about turning it into a movie, but he and his partner got lost out, and like every fisherman in the town went out to find them, and then he wrote a book about it. But do you have any big stories like that? You know,
Well, I mean,
lost at sea,
well, we have a
swallowed by a whale.
Yeah, no, one of the greatest novels was Men's Lives, and that was written by Peter Matheson.
Yeah.
And that right there, you know, that whole series book sums it all up about, you know, what it was here in back in those days, you know, when we're really trying to put food on the table and provide, you know. My mom used to, you know, it was funny when I was a kid. My mom used to send me to school with like lobster sandwiches or fish sandwiches, you know, and the teachers you'd call her up and be like, you know, Patty, you can't send this kid into school with this stuff. You know, it's just not fair for the rest of the people. And my mom's like, well, it's all we have to feed you him is, you know, is that. It's it. It's all we have. We don't, you know. And they were like, well, you know, what are you going to do? And she's like, well, you're going to buy me some, you know, some cold cuts, some peanut butter and jelly for the kid then, you know. What do you expect, you know? And, but yeah, I mean, you know, I grew up on the water. I obviously still work the water. And do it every day, you know, wind blowing, rain, snowing, ice, cold water. It's a, you know, 365 days a year thing, you know.
I talk about sentient beings in the middle of the earthy environments and stuff, and being out on the water. And you ever get lost out there?
No.
No.
We try not to. I've never personally.
Good
There
policy.
there has been a couple times, you know, where you know, you just put the boat in neutral and you're just sitting there and you're looking around and you don't see nothing.
Yeah.
You know, you have a little machine and a compass and it's foggy. All you see is the front of the boat, and that's barely even noticeable, you know. And you shut the boat down and you just think to yourself, and you're like, am I gonna get home? Or do I just stay right here? you know, put the anchor in and just wait and see if the fog lifts. And there's been a couple times where it's gotten close, but I've always found my way home, thank the Lord. And, you know, no matter where I've been at, you know, whether it's, you know, 3 miles from the beach or on the beach or 150 miles off the beach, you know, to deeper depths. You know, I've been all up and down the East Coast. It's just, you know, what I do.
Navigation. So are you ever called for navigation that is not like electronic and with instruments like a sextant or something where you have to go by your instincts?
Yeah, no, we never really, you know, we have let the technology nowadays kind of take over.
Good.
You know, because, you know, you kind of have to, you know, we have to know the water depths and temperatures and, you know, to be able to go out there and catch what we need to catch and to bring it back, you know, and to be able to get a boat full of fish, you know, you need that stuff that, you know, that little extra stuff. Yeah, no, back in the day, they didn't have none of that. You know, they were lucky to have a big eyeglass, you know, where you could look
Yeah.
out on the ocean to see if you saw a whale coming down the beach, you know. And then everybody got on their boats and they all headed down there, you know. Yeah, I mean, where technology has come from then until now is just unbelievable, you know.
I imagine your family's been part of the fishing rituals, like the blessing of the fleets at the
Yeah.
beginning of the season.
Yup, it's a very, very special thing that happens every year. You know, that they bless the fleet, and every year it doesn't get any easier, you know, because I have known people that have died out at sea and, you know, or been lost.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you know, and it, you know, it's one of those things, you know, where, you know, you're going to do something and it's not easy. You know, you're leaving your loved ones for days on end. And to be able to kind of have a little, you know, a little reassurance that you're gonna be okay, you know, throughout the year fishing. It like I said, it doesn't get any easier, you know.
So I hadn't thought of that consideration. So yeah, you have attachment to people you've lost.
Yeah.
So the blessing of the fleet has a mixed kind of thing. When I went out, it was like a party. You know, they're on their boats and they're going out and they're eating like crazy. And but I don't have that attachment, so that's kind of a bittersweet thing for you.
Yeah. If you were to ask any captain, commercial vessel captain that goes out for that, whether they have a barbecue on their deck or what it is, when it comes down to time to really do what we do out there, you know, it touches every one of us, you know, and they'll tell you that, you know, it is a very sacred thing to each and every one of us. You know, it's gonna keep us safe, and it's to pay our respects to our ones that we have lost, you know, out there, or, you know, to people who have worked on the water or have done something special, you know.
Wow. Look, the fishing culture here in Montauk, it is so rich and so steep. As many times as I've come out, you know, I came out to go surfing at Ditch Plains, but then you're going down to Gosford's Dock and you're going to seeing all the fishermen and you're looking at all the fishing boats, but never got as close enough to really feel it. But then you start to, now that I've been living here and meeting everybody, and meeting all the fishermen, it's like, wow, the culture here, the fishermen's culture, and the way you all have this, it certainly is a family. It's every fisherman is part of this family of the fisherman's culture out here, and looks out for each other, takes care of each other, knows each other, and shares stories with each other. So, is there any favorite boats? So so we're gonna lose Bobby. You know, I love that we kept him here this long, because he was only gonna be here 10, 15 minutes. Bobby, thank you so much for coming. I'm loving you, man. We're having a great time. We're gonna see you tonight over at Talk.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
See you later.
Okay, everybody gonna
Pleasure
see much
meeting
more
you.
of
Good to
Bobby.
meet you. Thank you for sharing your stories too. That was
Thanks.
awesome.
Yeah, you as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, see you later, bud.
See ya.
Gotcha. Well, I ran into this guy, we just started talking, you can see, wonderful demeanor about himself,
Yeah.
very down to earth,
Very nice
fun.
fun. Yeah.
and talented. So then he's gonna be working with me doing some stuff. So the fishing culture out here and you and your whole life been here. And I've been over to your place. I've been over to Bennet
Mhm.
Shellfish. Great place, Bennet Shellfish.
Thank you.
And you go there, it's like, oh no, I'm like in Montauk now. I'm like with real people from Montauk, and these are with the real fishermen and coming in with stuff. Tell us about some of the fish, and is it different times of the season?
Yeah.
What happens there? Different if the fish are
Well,
running, when, and
Yeah,
where?
well, my year changes, throughout the seasons, colder waters, colder temperatures, warmer temperatures, warmer waters. Like right now, we're getting ready to get into like sea bass, porgies, blue, your normal summer stuff where it's offshore during the winter. So you gotta go, 40 miles to go out and get it during the winter, where during the summer, it's right here in our backyards.
I don't think I've ever seen or tasted a porgy. I don't think I've ever seen one on a menu. I don't know what a porgy is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a flat type of fish. Well, it's not a flat. It's a pinfish, we call them.
Yeah.
And they're very tasty. It's a white type of fish. It is kind of a bonier fish. But it's a sweeter meat, sweeter fish. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't eat them,
Mm.
because of all the bones and stuff. But if you ever sat down with a nice sized porgy and
Yeah.
pan fried it, you'd totally say something different about it,
Yeah. I went out with Andy Saban took me out. And we went out to the bottom of Rhode Island,
Mhm.
and there was this pocket, and it was so amazing that we're in this boat and we're reeling him in, and the guy's right next to us. He's not getting anything, and it can be like that, right? Where you got like a gold miner might find that strip, the mother lode,
That
but
little
then
pocket.
yeah, there was some story on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, where he's telling a story about the family that was mining and couldn't, it looked like it ran out. They sold the equipment to somebody, and he went back, and 3 feet away was like this huge coal thing. So it's the same thing with fish.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you're here, nothing. There, on this side of the boat, no, it's just on that side of the boat. So that's amazing.
Even with like the commercial side of it, we're always moving gear, moving stuff around,
Yeah.
trying to find those little pockets of where the fish are at.
Yeah.
It's a game. It's definitely a game, and I like to play it. It's one of those things.
Any like, well, I don't want to have you reveal secrets.
No, there's no secrets. There's no
Yeah.
secrets out there on the water.
Yeah.
We all pretty much know what's going on and who's doing what. It's just like you were saying, of it being such like a family type of culture. We kind of all try to work together. And try to keep everybody happy. Yeah, sometimes we might butt heads here and there. But for the most part, yeah, we would take I would take my shirt off my back for any one of them. So.
Real personal question. I hope you don't mind if I
No,
go
go
for
ahead.
something real personal.
Mhm.
So, especially because you're going out into dangerous places, and also the hope and that you're going to be catching fish. Are you religious? Are you spiritual? Do you incorporate a spirituality into, or prayers, like say a prayer when you're going to go out fishing or anything?
I get asked this question quite a bit, and it's not that I say a prayer, it's that I know that God is always with us out there, and because there's been times where it's been so rough and just downright almost no man's land. You're not supposed to be there, and I've been in those predicaments.
Yeah.
And you're looking out the windows of the wheelhouse and you're saying to yourself, this is it, this is it.
Mm.
It ain't gonna be another night, we're not gonna make it through the night, and you're thinking to yourself, God, just get us through, stop this, just stop this mayhem, stop this
Wow.
blowing, just don't do it, just give us a break.
Yeah.
And when that sun breaks and you get the winds start lying down, the waves start calming down. Thank you, Lord.
You are involved in one
It's
of the most.
God's country.
You're
That's what I
involved in
was
one of
saying.
the most dangerous professions that
Yeah,
we
in
have.
the world.
Fisherman is an incredibly dangerous profession, and they're making all the TV shows about it.
Yeah.
But So,
You gotta remember, you know, just because we're here on the northern Atlantic doesn't mean that it's not the same stuff as it is in Alaska. You know, these are some of the most dangerous waters in the world up here. You know, and some of the hardest to navigate too. You know.
really, my brother's a sailor down in Chesapeake, and Chesapeake has some difficult, challenging waters to navigate around Annapolis, going in up. But I didn't know how bad it was here. I know that I've been to some of the Block Island races, and I know you got to get through the rushes. If you don't hit the rushes at the right tide, you're losing the race. But so I know a little bit about that, and going up to Woods Hole, and some of the currents that go up there. But I didn't know it was that tricky up here.
Yeah, you know, you gotta remember you live on one of the biggest shipping ports as well. You know, for the East Coast, a lot of stuff comes in and out of New London, Connecticut, comes out, goes down to the city, goes from the city down to, you know, the Carolinas and Florida and up and around. You know, so like you gotta remember a lot of the stuff starts right here. So you know, we are one of the crowdiest spots, you know, in the Atlantic.
Wow.
You know, for boat traffic.
That's interesting, and then with the sound and everything, and we have just a couple minutes left. Just so, you know, I had the whole list of things I wanted to go through with you, and hopefully we're going to get you back with your father. That'll be great. Love
definitely.
it. Love to
Yeah.
have you and your father come back. But some of the concerns of the day, you know, the environment, the heating of the water. Reading these reports about different fish coming up because of the changing of the waters, and then the things about the seals, that are seals dying because of the wind generators out there? What's your take on that stuff?
You know, that's one of the things that, you know, another question that I get asked a lot, and I try not to really touch base on that too much because of its political journeys that it's going through, and it's one of those things that's going to be a long-term deal with, and effective thing, not effective, but to really be able to say anything about it, you know, I'm not a scientist, you know, it's one of those things where, like I said, I try not to touch base on really. But we'll see in the future, you know, that's what I was getting at, you know, the future will tell.
Yeah.
You know, it's like another thing that we gotta just see what happens, you know.
I was so happy when I saw those wind generators way out. You know, you're out by the lighthouse and you look out and go, what is that out there? And you see these huge things. And then I went to the Ukraine. I volunteered on a humanitarian mission. I helped deliver some ambulances to the Ukraine, and every place we drove, I was just these wind things all over. So it looked like much more advanced than we were here. So when I saw them out at the end of Long Island out there, I was like so happy about it. So, oh, this is great, good, clean energy. And then these reports, and they're kind of being blamed, but not. Nobody knows for sure if that's what was killing some of these seals, but it's a concern. It's like every time something good happens, some concern happens. But then in the next 45 seconds, so that has political things. But the fish with the waters and the waters warming, is that affecting you? Are you feeling it?
You know, it affects
changing what you're doing.
It affects everybody. You know, global warming. You know, it's something that's never gonna, I believe, change. You know, you're always gonna have fossil fuels. You're always gonna try to have renewable energy. You know, it's just, you know, one of those things. You know, I always tell everybody we're self-destructing ourselves.
That's for sure.
And it's hard to say that to people because we are. Think about it. You know.
Yeah. Oh God, we don't have enough time. I wanted to ask you: do you ever see these big pockets of plastic floating around out there?
It's a mess out there.
Oh no! That's
not what you know that the balloons. It's you know I can't tell you how many balloons I picked up out of the ocean.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So look, we need time to evolve. We need to change. We got to do it dramatically fast. Hopefully, it's not too late. But we have wonderful people like this. Clint Bennett, this wonderful family out here, the Bennett family in Montauk, and I'm so glad that you came. Thank you very much for talking to you. I can't wait to
Thank
talk to
you.
you again, and
Yeah.
I love when I come over and get to buy fish from you guys.
Thank you.
And it's
We
a real pleasure
appreciate
meeting
it.
you. And also, you're a wonderful person. You have a wonderful kind of air about you.
You know, I was brought up to be like that. You know, that you don't, like a lot of people say, you don't find too many people like myself anymore.
Well, you
know.
succeeded. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
I appreciate your time.
Thank
I really
you.
do.
And thanks for joining us here on The Living Novel, where we're talking about things that are coming and things that are being understood in the universe and talking about real life at the same time.